Right guys, today in this video I'm gonna predict the 26-27 Premier League. So, as you can see here, if I made myself smaller, I did do this while not filming, but I decided while I was doing this, hey, why not record myself doing it and put it on my YouTube channel. So, as you can see, the first game I've predicted is for Arsenal to win against Coventry 3-0, Hull to lose against Man United 2-0, Everton to win against Crystal Palace 2-1, Sunderland, my team, 3-1 against Ipswich, Nottingham Forest, I've gone for an Leeds United win by 1-0, Brentford and Tottenham, I've predicted Brentford to win 1-0, Brighton and Hove Albion, I've predicted to lose 2-1 to Aston Villa. Man United versus Bournemouth, I've predicted to win 2-0 to Man City. Newcastle and Liverpool, I've predicted a 3-1 Liverpool win and a 1-0 to Fulham against Chelsea. So, if we move on to my second predictions, for the Aston Villa and Arsenal game, I've gone for a 0-0. For Bournemouth and Everton, I've gone for 3-1 Bournemouth. Chelsea versus Brighton, I've gone 2-1 to Chelsea. Coventry versus Hull City, I've gone 2-1 Hull City. Crystal Palace versus Man City, I've gone for 3-1 Man City. Leeds United and Brentford, I've gone for a Leeds United 2-1 win. Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest, 3-1 Liverpool win. A 4-0 Man United win at Ipswich. A 2-1 Sunderland win for Fulham. And a Tottenham 1-1 draw against the Max. And if we move on to my third game predictions, I predicted Arsenal 3-1 against Chelsea, us to win at Brentford 3-1, 3-0 against Leeds United, a 2-4 win for Man United at Everton, Fulham versus Crystal Palace, I've gone for a 2-1 Fulham, Hull versus Aston Villa, a 3-0 win for Villa, a 2-0 win for Liverpool at Ipswich, a 5-0 win at Coventry for Man City, and Newcastle lost 2-1 to Bournemouth, and a Nottingham Forest 2-2 draw at Spurs. So, if we move on to page 4, as you can see, I've also done this one as well. So, a 2-1 win to Aston Villa at Forest, a Bournemouth 1-0 loss against Brentford, a 2-0 win for Chelsea at Hull, a 3-1 win against Brighton versus Coventry, Crystal Palace and Ipswich Ipswich, I've gone for 3-1 Palace. For the Leeds United and Newcastle game, I've gone for a 0-0 draw. Actually, I think I might change that to a 1-0 Newcastle. I know I don't like predicting the match to him, but you've got to be realistic, guys. Liverpool and Fulham 1-0. Man United and Man City, I've gone for 3-1 Man City. Sunderland and Arsenal, I've gone for a 1-0 Sunderland. Like, I am confident that we will beat Arsenal. Any team Sunderland can beat on the day, folks. And I think a 1-0 win at the Stadium of Light is achievable against Arsenal, so I've gone for 1-0 Sunderland. Tottenham and Everton, I've gone for 1 each. And on the 5th page, I believe, look at that, I've started on the 5th page as well, so Bournemouth and Liverpool, I've predicted a 4-2 to Liverpool, a 2-1 win for Brentford at Chelsea. Brighton and Arsenal, I've predicted a 2-2 draw, a 1-0 win for Everton against Ipswich, a Fulham win against Man United, a 1-0 win for Leeds United against Crystal Palace. I've predicted Sunderland to lose 3-1 against Man City, even though I hope I'm won. Newcastle on Hull, I've gone for a 2-1 Newcastle. Nottingham Forest versus Coventry, I've gone for 2-1 Coventry. And Tottenham and Villa, I've gone for 3-0 to Villa. Now if we move on to 6, I haven't done this one yet, so I'm gonna film myself actually doing the scores on camera now for you guys. So then, Arsenal and Leeds United, I'm predicting 4-1 Arsenal win. Aston Villa and Brentford, I am gonna predict a 2-1 to Villa. And by the way, if I say the scores like 2-1, 1-3, it's usually the home and away side. So now you guys know what's going on, what team I mean, folks. So Chelsea and Bournemouth, I'm gonna go for I'll go for a 1-0. Coventry and Newcastle, you know what? I definitely think Coventry can beat the Max. So for that reason, I'm saying a 1-0 Coventry. Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. Let's go for a 1-0 win. Hull City and Everton, I'm gonna go for a 1-3. Ipswich and Fulham, let's go you know what, I'm gonna predict 3-1 again. Liverpool and Man City, I reckon this will be a tight game, but I do think Liverpool will win 1-0. Man United versus Tottenham. Let's go for a 2-1 to United. Sunderland versus Brighton at home. Last season we didn't lose against Brighton at home 3-0. And for that reason, I'm gonna predict Sunderland to win this time. So, I'm gonna be bold and go for a 2-0 Sunderland against Brighton. And if I were to click on calculate, it'll show what the table would actually look like if my scores were correct at that point in time. But we're still going to the 38th game, so we've still got a lot to go through, guys. So this may be a very long video, so feel free to grab a coffee, grab something to eat, and sit down on the sofa and watch this video. So, on the 7th game, Bournemouth and Sunderland. I'm gonna predict for us to get a point. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Brentford and Liverpool. I think this will be an edgy game, but I'm predicting a 2-3. Brighton and Hove Albion, Crystal Palace. I think Brighton can beat them, no bother. 3-1. Everton and Chelsea. Let's go for a 2-1 to Everton. Fulham and Hull. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera as well, guys. It's because I'm actually looking on the screen. So Fulham and Hull City. Let's go for you know what, I'm gonna predict a new draw, folks. Leeds and Man United. Let's go for a 2-0 Man United. Man City and Ipswich. Really easy. 3-0 Man City. Newcastle versus Aston Villa. I'm gonna predict a 2-2 draw. Nottingham Forest and Arsenal. Let's predict a 1-0 to Arsenal. Or a 0-1, so I say. Tottenham versus Coventry. I think Coventry can beat Spurs, so for that reason, I want to win to Coventry. So, if I calculate it for you guys, so now where you can see the table updating as and when I'm updating the scores. So, moving on to the 8th game, folks. So, Arsenal and Everton. I'm gonna predict 3-1 to Arsenal. Aston Villa and Man City. Let's predict a 3-2 win to Aston Villa. Chelsea and Tottenham. Let's predict you know what? 1-1. Coventry and Fulham 0-2. Punters and Newcastle 2-0. Hull City and Brentford 0-1. Ipswich and Nottingham Forest. You know what? Let's go 0-3 to Forest. Liverpool and Brighton. Let's fin. I've got this. 3-2. I reckon that'll be an etsy game, but I think Liverpool will win. Man United versus Bournemouth. Again, I could see it going either way, but I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win. Sunderland and Leeds. 3-1 Sunderland, why not? So let's calculate that. So far, I'd say that looks pretty realistic, folks. Apart from Arsenal being in 6. But so far, that does look like a real Premier League table. That could be realistic. So let's move on to the 9th game. So Aston Villa versus Fulham. Let's predict 1-0 Aston Villa. Fulham are a good side, to be fair. Bournemouth versus Leeds United. I'm predicting 3-1 Bournemouth. Brentford versus Forest. Both at 2-0. Chelsea Man United. Go for 3-1 to Man United. Coventry Sunderland. Apart from the playoffs, will never turn up against Coventry, and for that reason, I'm going for a 0-0. Hull City and Ipswich. I could see this going either way, but I reckon Ipswich will have this Ipswich votes, so I'm going 1-0 Ipswich. Liverpool and Arsenal. You know what? I'm gonna predict Arsenal to get beaten this time, so for that reason, not by that many, crikey. 2-1. Man City and Brighton and Hove Albion against Man City at home. We'll go for a 2-0 Man City win. Newcastle and Everton. 1-0 to Everton. Tottenham and Crystal Palace. 1-0 Tottenham, why not? Let's calculate that. As you can see, I think the table now is getting more realistic. So, as you can see, I've got Coventry, Hull, Ipswich, and this point of the season to go down. This is what I think will happen. I think one of all these teams will go down next year. but again, I could be wrong. Look at Sunderland, we got promoted last year, and we got into Europe, folks. So that has given me another confidence that we'll do a good job next season as well. And I'm not one of them people who think that Europe is gonna harm our season, folks. Because I know we've got the right balance and the right recruitment team to bring more players in, so no way Sunderland can not only be successful in Europe, but also the most important part, successful in the Premier League. So if we move on to the 10th game, we have Arsenal and Hull City. Let's go for a 1-0 Arsenal. I'm gonna be generous to Hull City from that game. Brighton and Hove Albion. Let's go for a 2-1 Brighton win. Crystal Palace, Liverpool. Surrey Palace, Hotspur. 1-3 to Liverpool. Everton and Coventry. Let's be generous to Coventry. 1-1 score. Fulham and Newcastle. 2-1 to Fulham. Ipswich and Bournemouth. Let's go for. We'll go for 1-6. Why not? Leeds United and Tottenham. Let's go. We'll go for a 2-0 Leeds. Why not? 2-0. Man United and Finner. You know what? Finner to get a 2-1 win. And Man United. Nottingham Forest and Man City. Let's predict a 0-0 for that game. I do think Forest can cope with the pressure that Man City wins, and I think Nottingham Forest at home can get a draw against Man City. Sunderland and Chelsea, very important fixture as we know. I'm gonna go for a 1-0 Sunderland. Sunderland's coconut the Premier League. Nas see Normus has Saints, except I've got Spurs to go down this time, but again, when we reach number 38, that will be my Premier League predictions. Which teams will be in Europe and which teams are not in Europe, and which will go down to the Championship. So let's move on to number 11. Been recording for 24 minutes now, can you believe that? Aston Villa versus Sunderland. I'm gonna predict Sunderland to lose, even though obviously you want the Nats to win. So I'm predicting a 1-0 Aston Villa. Maybe actually a 2-1 Aston Villa, because I do think we will score in that game. Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. Let's go for, you know what, 2-3 to Nottingham Forest. Since they got rid of Iona, I don't know who the new manager is, well, I reckon Nottingham Bournemouth will struggle next season. So for that reason, I'm predicting a 3-2 to Nottingham Forest. Brentford versus Everton. Let's go for 1-2 win to Everton. Chelsea versus Leeds United. Let's go for a 1-0 win. Coventry and Crystal Palace. I'll put them in the same 1-0 win. Coventry. Hull City and Brighton. Let's go for a 2-1 or 1-2 and so I'll say to Brighton. Liverpool and Man United. Let's go. You know what? I'm gonna predict Liverpool to get beat, so 3-2 Man United. Man City and Fulham. Let's go for a 1-0 Man United. Newcastle and Arsenal. 2-4 win to Arsenal. Tottenham and Ipswich. Let's go for. You know what? Ipswich's first win, 2-1. So if we calculate that now, I've seen the Liverpool at this point in the season will not mind this. So if we move on now to number 12, game number 12, we have Arsenal and Man City. I'm gonna predict a 2-0 Arsenal win for that. Brighton and Newcastle 1-1. Crystal Palace and Hull City. Let's go 1-1 again. Everton and Liverpool. 3-2 to Everton, why not? Fulham and Bournemouth. 3-0 Fulham. Ipswich and Villa. 2-1 Villa. Coventry and Leeds United. 2-0 for Leeds United. Okay, so Man United and Brentford. Let's go for 2-1. Okay, Nottingham Forest and Chelsea. You know what, I'm gonna give Nottingham Forest the win, so I'm gonna predict 3-2 win. Sunderland and Tottenham, I'm gonna predict the same score prediction as last season, so I'm gonna predict 1-0. So if we calculate that now, as you can see, the Premier League table looks like this. So it's getting more and more realistic. So let's move on to Unlucky 13. Aston Villa versus Everton. I'm gonna go for a 1-0 to Aston Villa. Bournemouth and Brighton. Let's go 2-1 Bournemouth. Brentford and Arsenal. 2-3 win to Arsenal. Chelsea and Crystal Palace. I'm gonna predict Palace to win, so 2-1 to Palace. Coventry and Ipswich. 2-1 Conway, Hull City and Nottingham Forest. Let's go 1-0 Nottingham Forest. Now, Liverpool versus Sunderland. Saturday, I do think Sunderland will get beat. So, for that reason, I am predicting a 2-1 win to Liverpool. Man City and Leeds United. I'm gonna go for a 0-0. I think Leeds will be able to cope with the rest of Man City. Newcastle and Man United. Gonna predict a 2-1 to Man United. Spurs and Fulham. 1-0 Spurs, why not? So now, the knee looks like this. Now, as you can see, if Newcastle were to lose that game, they'd be in the relegation zone, which I would like to see next season. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, moving on to 14. The 14th game off this season. Aston Villa versus Palace. You know what? I'm gonna predict a 1-1 for that game. Bournemouth and Hull City. Gonna predict a 3-0 win to Bournemouth. Brentford and Man City. A 1-3 win to Man City. Chelsea and Liverpool. Let's predict. No, I'm gonna go 2-4 Liverpool. Everton and Fulham. 2-1 Everton. Leeds United and Ipswich. Let's go 1-0 Leeds. Man United versus Conway. And 3-0 Man United. Now, the Newcastle Sunderland derby. I'm gonna be bold, right? I am gonna predict us to win 3-0. That's a bold prediction, but hopefully that is the case. Sunderland to win against Newcastle 3-0 at St. James's, like we did in the 2013-14 season, I think it was. So, yeah, I'm predicting a 3-0 to Sunderland at St. James's Park. Nottingham Forest and Brighton. I'll go for a 1-0 Brighton. Tottenham and Arsenal. Sorry, Spurs fans, you're gonna lose 2-0. So now, the league looks like this. So as you can see, Liverpool, at this point of the season, looks as though they're gonna win the league, because I've had them 1-12 and I've only lost 2. That's because next year, I do believe Liverpool will do very, very well under Andoni Iraola. I really do, folks. So moving on to the 15th game of the season. Arsenal and Bournemouth. Let's predict a 2-1 Arsenal. Brighton and Everton. 2-1 Everton. Coventry and Aston Villa. Going for a 1-0 Aston Villa. Crystal Palace and Man United. Let's go for... You know what, I'm gonna predict a 4-0 win to Man United. Fulham and Brentford. Let's go for 1-0 win to Fulham. Hull City and Tottenham. I think Hull could beat Tottenham, so for that reason, a 1-0 win. Ipswich and Newcastle United. I think this will be an easy game for Newcastle, 2-1 win. Liverpool and Leeds United. I'm gonna predict a 0-0 draw in that game. So that's the first Liverpool draw I've predicted. Man City versus Chelsea. 2-1 Man City. Nottingham Forest and the Stadium tonight against Sunderland. Now they did thump us last season 5-0 at home. So for that reason, I want to do it to them. So 5-0 Nottingham Forest, then they might if I do. So if we reverse the table, it's actually put Aston Villa at first place now. So in the races between, it seems, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool and Aston Villa. And people will be asking, out of them 4 teams, who's it gonna be this year? So let's predict some more, folks. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and give it a thumbs up. That'll be greatly appreciated. So, if we move on to the 16th game, we've got Arsenal and Man United. Let's go for a 1-0 Man United. Sorry, a 1-0 Arsenal, I meant to say. Bournemouth and Coventry. Let's go for a 2-1 to Bournemouth. Brentford and Newcastle. Let's go 2-0 to Brentford. Brighton and Ipswich. Let's predict a 0-0 score for that game. Chelsea and Aston Villa. Let's go. You know what? 2-1 Chelsea for that game. Leeds and United and Fulham. Go for 1-1. Liverpool and Tottenham. 3-1 Liverpool. Man City and Hull City. 2-1 Man City. Nottingham Forest and Everton. 2-1 Everton. Sunderland and Palace. I'll go for a 1-1 score. So now the table looks like this now. So if we move on to the 17th game, Aston Villa and Leeds United. Let's go for 2-1 to Aston Villa. Coventry and Chelsea. You know what? I'm gonna predict a 5-0 to Chelsea. Crystal Palace and Arsenal. I'm gonna have this be a 2-1 Arsenal win. So 2-1 Arsenal. Everton, Sunderland. 2-1 Sunderland. How and out. Fulham and Brighton. You know what? Let's gonna I'm gonna go for 3-0 Brighton at Fulham. Hull City and Liverpool. Let's go for a 1-1 score. I know that's unrealistic, but I'm going with it. Ipswich and Brentford. 2-0 win to Brentford. Man United and Nottingham Forest. Let's predict a 1-0 to Man United. Newcastle and Man City. 2-3 to Man United. Tottenham and Bournemouth. 1-0 win to Tottenham. So now the league table looks something like this now. So if we move on next to the 18th game. So we have Aston Villa and Liverpool. So let's predict 1-0 win Coventry and Brentford. 2-1 to actually, yeah, 2-1 Coventry. Let's give Coventry a win against Brentford. 2-1 Coventry. Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. Let's go for 2-0 Palace. Everton and Man City. I'm gonna say a 2-2 score for that game. Fulham and Arsenal. 1-0 to Arsenal. Hull City and Leeds United. 1-0 to Leeds. Ipswich and Chelsea. Let's go for a 1-3 win for Chelsea. Man United and Sunderland. Let's go for once apiece. Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. Gonna predict Newcastle to win against Forest, so 2-1. Tottenham and Brighton Hove Albion. 3-0 Brighton. So now the league table hasn't changed at all, really, apart from a few minor changes, I think. So I think we're getting pretty close to one of the articles gonna look like. But we're only halfway, guys. But all we know this could change entirely depending on my predictions. So game number 19. I'm gonna do 19, then I'll do 20, then I'm gonna stop the recording, guys, and I'm gonna do a part 2, folks, so stay tuned for that. So 19, game 19. So Arsenal and Ipswich. 3-0 Arsenal. Bournemouth and Aston Villa. Let's go for a 1-2 Aston Villa win. Brentford and Palace. Let's go. On Palace. Brighton and Albion, Man United. You know what? I'm gonna predict the Brighton win 1-0. Chelsea and Newcastle United. Let's go for a Chelsea win 2-0. Leeds United and Everton. Everton Leeds 1-0. Liverpool, Coventry, 2-1. Man City and Tottenham, 3-2 to Man City. Nottingham Forest and Fulham, let's go. A 4-2 to Nottingham Forest. Sunderland and Hull City. Let's go for a 3-1. Nice Sunderland Stadium at night. New Year's Day win, folks. So then the table will not mind this now. So if we move on to the last game, I'm gonna predict in this video, guys. So remember, stay tuned for part 2. It'll probably be released by the time part 1's done up, folks. So just go through my YouTube channel and you'll see it. So if we move on to game number 20, Everton and Aston Villa. Let's predict a 3-1 Aston Villa win. Brighton and Bournemouth, I'm gonna predict a 3. No, actually 2-1 Bournemouth. 2-1 Brighton, I mean. Arsenal versus Brentford. I think Arsenal will smash this one on the park. 2-0. Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Let's go for a 2-3 Chelsea win. Ipswich and Conway, 1-0 Ipswich. Nottingham Forest and Hull City. Let's go for 1-0 to Forest. Sunderland and Liverpool. Sunderland at home. So I'm gonna predict Liverpool to get beat 1-0 by us. Leeds and Man City. Let's predict you know what, 5-1 to Man City. Sorry Leeds fans if you're watching, I'm just guessing that's what's going on in this video. Man United and Newcastle, you know what, nils raw. Fulham and Spurs, now go for a 2-1 Fulham. So that was part 1 of me predicting the 26-27 Premier League table. And as you can see here, guys, it's coming on nicely. So stay tuned for part 2, guys.